Hello and welcome back to Azure Terraformer. As many of you know, I have been kind of organizing the local HashiCorp User Group here in Columbus, Ohio. It's a small group, but we're hoping to grow. And this week, I didn't have a presenter, so I just picked something to talk about. We do have a sessionized link, so if you are in the area and you want to give a talk on anything related to cloud and DevOps as it pertains within the realm of HashiCorp tooling, please check out that sessionized link and submit your talk. Anyways, this was a bit of a low-key talk. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of commentary and just engagement from the audience. As you'll see, this talk builds on the May presentation that was given by a friend of mine, Chris Deever, here in Columbus, Ohio, where he was exploring Packer and Terraform using Proxmox within his home lab. I was so inspired by Chris's talk that I re-imaged my home server and installed Proxmox on it, and I had new requirements imposed upon me, which you'll learn about in the talk. No spoilers. So anyways, I hope you enjoy my talk where I explore my journey in my home lab, setting up Proxmox and automating it using Packer and Terraform. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay. I didn't have a presenter, today, so I just.
I submitted one with session noise.
Did you?
I did. Oh, that's okay. We can
you caught me. You caught me. I have not. I guess I did not log into Sessionize. I'll have to check that. I'm gonna write that down. Ping me on LinkedIn or something. But Sessionize is where you should submit it. So thank you. Yeah. Would love to have presenters on any topic. Doesn't have to be Terraform, could be anything, but AWS.
Well, I was thinking about AI.
AI.
So I was just studying for the AI ML cert.
Is
that the new one, the brand new one?
No, the specialty, not the associate.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, is there a HashiCorp tool connection there?
I can stand stuff up with Terraform probably.
With AI? Stand up AI stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I stood up Azure OpenAI with Terraform. That was kind of fun. But, yeah, honestly, I don't do a lot of AI stuff. But people. I attended a local conference here in Columbus, and they were talking about how AI ops is going to be a thing, and it kind of makes sense. It's they're releasing new models, and they're moonlighting old models on a relatively fast clip. So being able to manage that release process seems like that would be something that you would probably need to do at scale. So maybe that's an infrastructure as code thing. I don't know. Yeah, so Sessionize, thank you.
I can tweak that up because what I was going to speak about was the secondary AWS provider.
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh, gosh.
I've been doing it for almost 6 months.
Yeah, Cloud CC. Yeah.
Our goal was to support those Q, Bedrock and stuff, which is not the standard, so I can sort of maneuver that.
That would be awesome. Do you want to come up here and give the talk? Come on, let's do it. That's awesome. Okay. August?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. After I get back from China, though, because I'm getting back on the 14th. So, anyways, I was playing around with Proxmox because I finished my book. We were talking about that before you showed up, but I wrote a book on Terraform. Yay. It was fun. There are 3 chapters dedicated to the big bookstore in the cloud. Only three. I had to cut you off. All right. There are 3 for Azure and there are 3 for Google Cloud. Very democratic, right? Yeah, equal opportunity. I had to draw the line somewhere though. IBM Cloud. I'm sorry, no. Well, given HashiCorp's new parentage, the IBM Cloud joke's a little funnier. Alibaba and sorry, no. But I tackle 3 different cloud computing paradigms: virtual machines, Docker and Kubernetes, and then serverless across all 3 clouds. So I get to have fun conversations about this is how you do it on AWS. This is how you do the exact same thing on Azure. This is how you do the exact same thing on GCP, and like do kind of the Rosetta Stone kind of thing, because it's literally the same solution, right? The same, like the C# code that's in it doesn't have to be C#, doesn't have to be whatever, but like I did it purposely because I wanted to show where there's, you know, synolid. What are those words like No. Where it's synonymous. There's a word to describe a class of words where they're synonymous. But
it's all the reports when you're doing it. You're like lined up AWS as your.
Oh yeah, that's the code for my book. So GitHub back. Yeah. Well, go ahead. What?
Did you do an HCL or did you do CDK?
HCL. All HCL. I'm a big HCL fan. Even though I'm a traditional software developer, like I'm not a big fan of CDK.
It's like a different tool, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
not this tool.
And frankly, like your configuration should be like not so complex that you have to have programmers look at it. So even for a programmer, it's like refreshing to look at like HCL and be like, duh, yeah, there's go, you know. But you layer like an imperative language like C# or Java or whatever, and programmers are going to program, right? They're going to go add layers of abstraction and do all kinds of fancy like inversion of control maneuvers, you know, Yoda, Jedi mind trick stuff. And then it's like you need to be a rocket scientist to figure out what the hell your infrastructure is going to be. And so I'm not a big fan of CDK, but that's me. I have a good friend of mine who's like all about AWS CDK, Matt Bonig. Do you know that guy? Yeah. Matt Bonig, man, he loves him some CDK stuff, but I don't know, just the whole using C# to write infrastructure. Having used ARM templates and, you know, CloudFormation, you know, JSON, YAML, the different variations over the years, it's like, and also like Ruby and Chef, right? Stuff like that's like, I don't know, it just seems like a recipe for disaster.
I'm not a developer, and I even know that that's not good.
What's not good?
But using C# for something.
Well, hopefully we agree on like the imperative languages in general. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
It's not a knock on C# per se, but
the way someone told me is, hey, HCLs or resource blocks look like a function location for me. I can just provide those inputs and arguments and be done. But the most they want to do is I can want to pass in a JSON. Everything else, no, I don't want to like. Okay, what?
yeah, that's the goal, right? Obviously, there's areas of friction where you have to do some, you know, shameful things. What stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, kind of things. But yeah, like shouldn't be doing too many gymnastics. Anyways, CDK, fun topic. It's all GitHub Actions. So each of the 9 solutions that are in my book all use GitHub Actions. That's like the one common thread. And they all, like every cloud has the chapter on Kubernetes. We do Docker and we do Kubernetes and we use the Kubernetes provider. So I'm not doing YAML. And I did that purposely, mainly because it's like, well, how would you do this with Terraform? But I do talk about how maybe that's not the greatest idea because Kubernetes people want to Kubernetes using YAML and Helm and stuff like that. But
Have you seen the Kubernetes YAML to Terraform HCL converter? I've saved my life a lot of times. I don't want to write all those things in the
what
HCL configuration.
is this a tool or?
Yeah, there was an open project. I forgot who wrote it. I was looking at to do the exact thing, and they had. If you look at a YAML provider, YAML actually converts into an HCL configuration under Kubernetes provider. So it just takes away all those YAML configuration, converts into the HCL equivalent for Kubernetes provider.
Yeah, I've not seen that tool. You should send me that link or something. I've been using ChatGPT. ChatGPT does a pretty good job. You know, you can have like a prompt, and you're just like, here's some YAML, convert this into HCL. It goes at it pretty good, not so bad. I wrote a little custom. I set up a little custom ChatGPT with the prompt built into it. I mean, that's all those custom ChatGPTs are. So, but to do that, so, but, yeah. Anyways, enough about my book, right? Proxmox. So, the reason why I started talking about my book is I finished it, and so now I've had all this copious amounts of free time. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with all these hours? And so my son is like, Dad, we need to get the Minecraft server back online. So I'm like, exactly. I'm like, oh, this will be a perfect opportunity for you, son, to learn Bash and Linux, and it'll be wonderful. And he's like, okay. And like, he sits there with me like for the first 5 minutes, and then like, I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm getting water. And then I never see him again, you know. It's like, so yeah. But, you know, he's all like, when's the server going to be ready? When's the server going to be? Like, well, son, to do this the right way, we have to like automate the VMs with Packer. And if we really want to do it the right way, you know, we should really automate Kubernetes, like roll our own Kubernetes cluster, you know, with Packer images for the Kubernetes nodes, and then, you know, Dockerize our Minecraft server and deploy it onto our home-rolled Kubernetes cluster that's running on our Proxmox and hypervisor, right? And he's like, well, how long is that going to take? And he right, and he looks at me, I'm like, it could be like a month. And he's like, oh, Dad.
What do you use for the Kubernetes cluster on Proxmox?
Well, so I haven't done this yet because obviously my product owner kind of put the kibosh on this all these non-functional requirements. But my plan, my evil engineering plan, was I was going to use Packer templates to create the Kubernetes nodes, right, within that, and I would spin up virtual machines on Proxmox to set up the cluster, and then I would have a Docker file for my Minecraft, and then a Kubernetes, maybe Terraform, HCL, maybe YAML manifest.
How big is that Minecraft container? How big is that?
Oh, it wouldn't be that big. No.
What's the minimum? I never thought about this. What's the minimum requirements for Minecraft?
That's a good question. Not a lot. Minecraft, Bedrock, dedicated server. They have the specs on their website. It's so you can hey guys, well, you know, you can install it on Windows. Look, they have a version for Windows, so you can run this server on Windows. I know you all want to go do that. Where's the specs? Oh, here we go. Look at this. Oh my God. Oh my God. 4 gigs of RAM, baby. An iCore or an i3. I don't even know what those are anymore. You know, it's like E3, E4, D4. Yeah.
Pretty Spartan, pretty small. I mean, the processor, that's a pretty low end.
Yeah.
How many people at home?
Probably not a lot. That would be like yourself running around, you know. But like if you get a bunch of people on there, then the frame rate's just going woo. So I you know, honestly, let's go look at my code because I have the Terraform that provisions my cluster. So there you go. I'm giving my Minecraft server 8 gigs of RAM and 2 cores. I don't know what kind of cores they are, but like Proxmox kind of takes care of that for me. And so far, this has been running pretty well. We've had like maybe 4 people on it simultaneously. You know, me, my son, a couple of his buddies. You know, honestly, like seems like the biggest thing is like the Minecraft database starts to go because it like the way Minecraft works. It's really interesting piece of software actually. Doesn't scale super well, FYI. But it there's a seed map that generates like these massive like worlds that are 64 million, you know, blocks by 64 million blocks. It's insane. Like, it would be like if planet Earth were like we had 64,000 planet Earths because each block is like three feet, right? I mean, it's
Do they do that 3 times?
what's that?
One for the real world, one for the nether, and one for the whatever the Enderman.
The Nether for sure, but like the Ender world, I don't know if that's really the full, because like the Ender world's got all these. It's where they had to have an end to the game because you can't just have a game that doesn't have an end. So they had to have a dragon that you could kill. I actually think that was a joke that they made. Like how do we create an ending?
With beds. You can kill them with beds.
That's true. It's wacky. But no, honestly, I like Minecraft because there is no point to it. Like I can just row my boat. You're gonna laugh, but I just row my boat, and like these crazy landscapes just emerge out of the horizon as I'm rowing around. It's just kind of relaxing. It's like, damn, that's cool. Wow, a floating island. Maybe I should build a house up there. It's just funny. So yeah, it's a great way to kill a lot of hours, but it can be pretty fun. Anyway, so like my son was like, no, we can't have the over-engineered rocket ship, Minecraft server, because I kind of wanted to play like tonight. So like, well, I've got standards, okay? I can't just like roll this thing, manually install everything, and have it ready for tonight, because then I would feel empty inside. Yeah. And then what would happen if your server went down? Then what? Then I would have to like log in and set it back up again. Like, we couldn't just pop it in the head and bring it back. So we talked about the whole benefits of infrastructure as code. And so he's like, okay. So what's the MVP of getting this thing automated? So I was like, well, I guess really if I cut me down to like absolute brass taxes, I just need a Packer template and, a simple Terraform thing to, provision the Packer template. And he's like, okay, how long for that to get done? And I was like, maybe a week, And so I did it in a couple of days. I couldn't get it done in one day, but I did get it done. Got her done. So let's start with the Packer. So I got to get this Packer image, okay? And I'm building a Packer image for Proxmox. So who's used Packer here before? This is a small group. No? Okay. So you know what an AMI is, right? AMI? I don't know whose cloud affiliation. I know your cloud affiliation.
EC2 compute template.
Yeah. It's like an image for like an EC2 you want to spin up. So every cloud platform has like the equivalent of an AMI you guys call them AMIs? Do you really call them AMIs?
I always call them AMIs.
Me too. Me too. I've heard people call them AMIs, and I'm just like, ugh, what the heck? It's creepy. Anyways, so we need a Proxmox equivalent of an AMI, basically. And that's what Packer is going to produce for us. Now, the problem is when you're working with an on-premise infrastructure like Proxmox, on-premise meaning my basement, right? Okay. I'm glad like my jokes are going across to you guys. You don't have, the AWS Marketplace image gallery or whatever they call it, right? So there's no marketplace images. And oh yeah, I want some Ubuntu. I want some Red Hat Enterprise Linux. The SQL Server Enterprise. That'd be great. No. There's nothing. So like you have to build your own custom images, and this is what Chris Deever showed, like last time, which was May, where you were doing something much more sophisticated than, what was it?
We use Fedora as the base.
You're using Fedora, but you had some very professional thing that you were installing on top of it, right? Not Minecraft, not childish games.
Stuff like Prometheus and
Yeah,
monitoring tools.
important stuff.
The eventual
Important stuff.
big IoT backend.
Yeah.
Control plane that we eventually realize at some point in the future. It's further along.
Serious stuff. Business. Work. So in Chris's demo, he showed how to use, and you guys can still see that, right? How to use Fedora, like installation media, right? So imagine, I don't know if you guys have ever imaged your own machines back in the day with like tools like Ghost. You guys remember Ghost? No? Really? Oh, you would literally like, you'd have to set up the operating system, and then it would literally byte by byte like create an image, to a new a physical hard disk, right? Not even a virtual hard disk. Anyways, but when you were doing that, you either had to do like human interactive install, like click, next, typey, or you'd have to create a script that would silently install your operating system, which is not fun. And Chris found out that was not fun when he did Fedora. Yeah. And so I looked at his thing and I was like, he's using Fedora. For whatever reason, I always use Ubuntu. I don't know why. Somebody teach me your ways and why I shouldn't use Ubuntu.
Fedora is a HashiCorp. They're the same company now.
Is Fedora made by IBM?
Red Hat.
It's owned by
So it's therefore IBM.
Really? I didn't know that. See, this is how connected I am to the Linux community. I don't even know these things. Anyways, so
This is cool if you did cloud it, probably.
I did not. I did not get. See, I was basically standing on your shoulders. Okay, that's all that I was doing. Now, this boot command is like Chris had an equivalent boot command, and so so let me explain what's going on here. And I apologize. I don't know why this is all red, but this is my builder for Proxmox, and it's a special type of builder that is basically going to build from an ISO, right? I.e. the installation media. So this is the builder, the Packer builder that they call them sources now. I don't know why. This is the Packer builder that you need when you don't have an existing image. Now later on, I didn't want to go through this process every time because it's very painful. Like, get the old lashing whip out and just start, self-flagellation. Okay. When you've already got an image, you can use this one. This is also a Packer builder, but this is basically like, okay, I've already gone through the pain and suffering of silently installing an operating system from installation media. You just need to clone that baseline image and then start running all your crap, right? So that's what I did. So the first step, back to here is this baseline image. This is where basically this boot command is a magic string that works to get Ubuntu installed. Only these combination of characters, okay? And by God, like how many monkeys, chimpanzees it would take to put in a room to get this combination of characters, I do not know. But like one character and this won't work. It's very brittle. I actually tried to retrofit what you were doing with Fedora, thinking it might get me half the way, or I might be able to figure out what subsections of the magic string would work for my thing. And I started down the process of because you can debug your Packer images, right? Like I can launch this image and see where I've got this boot command, which is an array. The first character is C. Okay, get rid of everything else. Just put the C there. See what comes next in the installer. What does it want me to press on the keyboard? And then I can typey that in, and then jot that down, and then put it into my array as the next string that gets sent to the installer. And I was like, no, my son needs this Minecraft server tonight, so I can't be doing that. This brute force effort is just not sufficient. So I went on GitHub and I did some GitHub Google searching, and I found some guy who, praise be to this guy, had the magic string for every version of Ubuntu. It was amazing. Well, not every version, all the LTS versions for the last 10 years. Okay, so 1804, 2004, 2204, 2404, right? And I'm using 2204. So I had to copy and paste that precise string array and put it in here. And it just magically worked. It was literally like magic. And I mean, I generally, so I don't grok every bit and byte in this array, but like you can kind of see what it's doing. And I suppose if I'd have installed Ubuntu 22.04 500 times, like this would be committed to muscle memory. And I would be like, oh yeah, that's when, you have to type in the init blah, blah, blah command. And then you have to press enter and wait. But I didn't do that. So, but I can kind of guess like what it's doing here. And the rest of this stuff is just kind of, I don't actually think I use the HTTP directory. I know you use this.
That's not good for Kickstart.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I had to use this.
Did it put the SSH key in maybe that way?
So, like and this is where so there's a nice gentleman from France that reached out to me when I posted about this adventure on LinkedIn, and he had all these like, oh, you're doing it all wrong. This is what you need to do. You need to do it with Cloud Init. Ubuntu has this like Cloud Init thing built into its installer that like you don't even have to do this, Mark. And I'm like, awesome. I'm going to put that on my parking lot and come back to when I have time to look into this. But the Minecraft server is running, guys. So like the pressure is off. So it's in the parking lot. But it is interesting. Like that is pretty nice. Like, and it kind of blew my mind because like I know Cloud Init from using it with Azure VMs and AWS. Like you can do pretty much a whole bunch of stuff in Linux where the setup work is all kind of metadata, within this Cloud Init like config file, like a YAML file, also covered in my book. But I never thought like you could like do a bare metal install of a Linux operating system with that. So I was like, wow, that's pretty badass. Yeah, so I pass in the ISO file. Where's the ISO? So here are my variables, right? So you can see the ISO file is stored on my Synology NAS. Love me some Synology. Don't hack me, okay? And I have a share called lab, and this is where that ISO is. And it was a bit tricky getting that share drive mounted into Proxmox. Not gonna lie, that was a bit tricky because like when you set up the storage locations in Proxmox, you have to tell Proxmox like what's being stored there, and then behind the scenes, you have to set up the access control for Proxmox. But behind the scenes, Proxmox is going to use the credentials and then go just grok that location. And it actually blows out its own directory structure in that location. I didn't realize this because this is my first time installing Proxmox. So I had my ISO in my root share drive, and I'm like, it should work, right? But like, no, Proxmox wanted that ISO in its folder in that, share drive. So I had that took probably the most of the time trying to figure that out. But once I did that, then it would boot off that, and it was all good. And yeah, so setting up a storage pool, I think that was tricky. This is just the image name that I'm telling Packer, like when you're done building an image, this is what I want it to be called. And I'm just using kind of semantic versioning, which is what I always do, even like on the cloud with AMIs and Azure managed images. This is just like the Proxmox storage pool, where it's like where do you want the image to be saved. And this is like I have a big rack mounted 2U server that doesn't have a lot of storage space. It's got 250 gig, not SCSI, but some sort of what? Yeah, SATA drives, and I think they are SSD. But I have them all like RAID 5 to RAID 6 together, so it's like a 1.2 terabyte drive, and that's just like my big disk, and that's where all the Proxmox images go. And I don't know what this. Oh yeah, Proxmox node. I think this is just the name of my Proxmox cluster. And the default is PVE, Proxmox virtual environment or something. And so, this is the builder. And in Packer, the builder is it's the connective tissue to the platform that you want to build the image on. And then the provisioners are basically like all the crap that you want installed or set up. Now, you look at my provisioners, and I'm really not doing nothing, right? And I can't even remember where I found this. I think I found this. I think I found this like from that guy that had the boot sequence for Ubuntu 22.04. But like you need this provisioner to basically wait until all the installation stuff is done, and then you can see at the end there was like it was cleaning up some stuff. Like there's a config file that the cloud init config sets up. Sudo cloud init clean, and then deleting the password for the Ubuntu user, which this is where I would love feedback or help. Like the idea, the concept is similar to it, in AWS or Azure. You don't want to have like a hard-coded password like on your machine image, so that when you spin up new machines for whatever purpose you want them for, there's some super admin that has the backdoor password to every single one, like the sudo super user like login to every single server on your network. Like you don't want that, right? And on the cloud, there's mechanisms to do this, right? Where, when you provision a VM in Azure AWS, it's like, let's provide you with the SSH key essentially that is going to work on this device, and they put it in there for you. But on Proxmox, it's like, I don't know how to do that.
Outside of Proxmox, because it was in the Kickstart part. So I had a web server on my build server, Nginx or whatever, and then I had a path to the key. So then the Kickstart, when it was doing its thing, it provisioned my auto provisioner account, and then all the accounts in the Kickstart were set up to not have passwords. So that was a Fedora way to do it.
So you did an OS specific way to do it outside of Proxmox using something called Kickstart.
That's the auto build tool
for Fedora.
For Red Hat and Fedora.
Oh, okay.
Probably
Right.
faster.
Yeah.
That was specific to that.
So yeah, and I think I need to come up with a solution, figure out what solution I want to do with this, because this is the only manual step in my process. Like basically, I can use this image to spin up new images, no problem, right? Because Packer kind of handles it for me. But when I provision one of my virtual machine images with Terraform, there's no password, and I haven't figured out how to get my SSH key on the box to be working. Like when Terraform spins up the VM.
You can probably do it.
What's that?
The cloud init, you can try to set that.
So in the cloud, here's where I try and set it. This is so the Terraform provider or jumping around here. Apologize, but this is great. I mean, love if you guys want to go see, like, this is not this. There are no breaks. Like, we can go anywhere, just like in Minecraft. There are many like hooks into the cloud init configuration, and most of them are just like they poke a little hole, and it like you can set one little attribute in the cloud init with that one little attribute. This SSH keys is one of those little holes that they poke, and it's probably like there's probably most scenarios you don't have to go like have your own custom cloud init config, right? You just want to set one or two attributes, and that handles like 90% of the people. But then they do have one attribute that's like the big mama, like you can just pass in a cloud init configuration with all the things in it, right? And there's really no in between. So I don't fully understand that, full disclosure. It was unclear to me based on the Proxmox provider documentation whether they were mutually exclusive or like you could use them together, and like if you use them together, like what would be the operator order, right? It was confusing to me. So, and it ended up not being an issue because I couldn't even figure out how to get the Big Mama Cloud Init attribute to work. Like I tried to use the Terraform utility provider for Cloud Init to generate me some Cloud Init, and it's just like the random provider. It's like it outputs like a parsed output or something, and you pass that in. But like this Proxmox VM QEMU, the VM resource in Proxmox would not take it. Like whatever Cloud Init that I tried to put in there, it was like, nope. So I couldn't figure out how to get that to work. Ooh, the pizza's here. Yay. Thank you, sir.
And please take home what we have left.
I got a 13-year-old boy, so it'll be gone. Trust me. Yeah.
Are you wanting to pass in the SSH, the public key in the Terraform, or you want it in the ISO before you?
Yeah.
I would like to pass it in via the Terraform, but this doesn't. What you're looking at here doesn't work. Yeah.
You're using the image only for this, right? So
What's that?
you are using the image that you're creating from Packer only for this.
Yeah. I'm using so this image right here. I'm cloning from a Packer image.
Right. So you can have the key in the provision itself and then copy it over.
Yeah, but I don't want to put the key in my images.
The key?
It still feels. I don't know. I was an application developer when we were doing all this stuff on-prem. So I don't know, like, what is the right thing to do, like on-prem infrastructure? Do you bake images with SSH public keys in them? That sounds kind of cringe to me, but
But PGP email, like, it's all public. Like all TLS, it's all public.
yeah,
Right? Especially if you do 4096, like that's gonna take billions.
it just seems like baking that into the key, baking that into the image.
The private key is outside.
Yeah, I get why
Yeah.
you want to do that. Like, it does feel icky, but it's technically fine.
Yeah, maybe I should. And it's only my home lab, so running Minecraft. Yeah. It's like, Dad, look what I got in. Look what I did with your public key. I'm like, I guess I don't care. Yeah.
But it's an interesting exercise to do for other things too, right? Not just public keys. Like, build
Yes.
a packer, deploy it, and also put something, message of the day or whatever.
Yeah.
Or populate it with Etsy, has to be, I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Do the keys rotate or are they static AF? That might be kind of a factor.
I mean, they're just it's just an SSH key to allow me to log into these VMs that I spin up on my Proxmox environment. That's it.
So that shouldn't rotate.
No, not really too sophisticated.
I'm thinking like bucket keys or something to
It's, I mean, I think they have aspirations to kind of supplant VMware, but it's, I don't know. From what I've heard from people that do this as their full-time job, which is not me, because I'm more like app developer, Proxmox isn't quite to the same level of enterprise grade that.
Oh, absolutely not. It
Yeah.
feels like VMware Server 2.0 that I used 20 years ago in my home.
Yeah.
I would never use it work.
Right.
Isn't there a file provisioner?
Yeah.
I've never used it. The other thing you can do is just using Ansible.
And that's that. I was also thinking about using Ansible. Yep.
But if you want a holistic, how does file provisioner work?
I mean, it's built into Packer.
Or is that Packer? It's not Terraform?
Yeah. Packer. I can drop a file with Packer. There's no file provisioner in Terraform.
Okay, that's a little more.
Yeah. Unless it's built into the Proxmox provider. So, basically, in the absence of this solution, or approach, really, because there's many solutions, I just have to decide what approach I want to take. Which balances like hard coding, potentially changeable things that I might want to change more easily in the future versus like finding a way to pop them in there easy. I have to figure that out. But right now, this doesn't work. It looks like it should work to me. Because I'm loading my public key from my machine, and I'm passing it to this VM as its SSH key. My expectation is I should be able to SSH into this thing.
Well, okay.
Didn't work.
So I see you loading up a file. Where does that SSH key?
This?
Yeah, okay, so that's presumably your Mac.
Yeah, I'm running it locally on my Mac, yeah.
Where is that being written to?
Wherever this attribute writes it to.
And where does it write it
It's a good question.
to? So
I don't know.
So if I'm ever having problems with SSH, the two things I go look at are, one, where is it being written to? And then do ls minus LIH. Look, because it has to be 700, so only the user can read, write, and execute, and 00. Yeah, and then the public key can only be 400, I think, maybe 600.
Oh, yeah, like the permission, you're right, yeah.
Oh, like the
Huge
mode
monster.
might try and not work, even though it's
Yeah,
right.
so like that's why it'll fail for me.
Or
If you have a 777 .SSH folder, like you will never ever be able to SSH in. It'll be like, nope. So you have you checked to see if the VM spins up and you can actually see the file there, or does the VM just stop there?
the VM spins up, I can't connect to it. Now, here's how I can connect to it. I can go into Proxmox manually.
Yep.
I can go into the Cloud.net config, and I can set the SSH key.
Which is kind of the anti of doing it.
Yes, manually. And I think you were outside the room. This is currently the one manual step that I have to set up all this stuff.
So if we run this without deleting the user password, keep the SSH stuff in there, can we then go in and see, does it actually write it there?
If it leaves the password?
Yeah, so just comment it out or just remove that. I just want to see if that file actually gets there. And if it does, cool, then we
Like, where does it put it?
yeah, then we're
Yeah.
bugging something else. Versus file doesn't ever get there.
Right.
Okay, now we have to do something different.
That brings up a good point. Or is there some rogue created .ssh folder?
Yeah, that's
But isn't the right one?
Is it in temp? Is it in
Yeah,
bar? Is it in
yeah.
etcd? Like or etc?
Wrong. Is it creating this file in that folder in a wrong top level?
Yep.
How long does this take to deploy? How long does this take to deploy? Well, you're not going to.
It actually does not take that long, to run Packer on my local machine when I use, and this is Terraform. I mean, Terraform takes a couple minutes, but yeah, so it wouldn't take that long. But yeah, so that's
I had a lesson learned of that for myself. So when I was doing it, it was taking like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I realized, oh, maybe I had to use more CPU and RAM to build the image, and that's sped up to like half as much time afterward.
yeah. When I build the image, I only give it 4 gigs of RAM, and I give it 2 cores because it doesn't actually have to run Minecraft. I'm just running apt and unzip and crap like that. But the Packer runs pretty fast. So that, full disclosure, unsolved. I need to fix that. I'd like to find a way to use the Cloud.net data source from the Cloud.net provider, utility provider that HashiCorp has, so that I can just configure a whole bunch of stuff and jam that in via Terraform, right? Because there's probably a lot of the Minecraft configuration. I could drop files, I could, change settings, and I don't want to bake that into the image. It kind of sucks, right? Of course, I could use Ansible, right? But then I got to set up an Ansible, a whole other deployment motion on top of Packer and Terraform, right? Which I've done.
Yeah, why use one when you can use two?
And why use 2 when you can use 3? So I do like Ansible, but I don't think I need the speed that Ansible would give me. So the effort to go set up the Ansible. Just seems like I'm not getting the payoff that I want.
That's not worth the bang for your buck, but
And my product owner does have limited budget, so.
How do you view the overall life cycle? So say you're running this Minecraft today, and you're going to run a different one, and basically new image and just repave everything. You would never have like an ongoing, I just want to add this or add that, which would be like a more of an Ansible use case.
Yeah.
Just go
And-
back and rebuild from scratch every time.
And that's so in my Minecraft image, I have backup mechanisms that back up the Minecraft world to my NAS, so that if I ever want to pop one of these in the head and just bring it back, that's my goal. Is like I should be able to in Terraform point it at a world restore location, right? And just be like, restore from this NAS location, right? And it'll execute the scripts and, call the things and copy the files and do all the, because I already have scripts that do backup and restore and Minecraft upgrade, stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff is built into the image, but I don't want to. It needs to be triggered somehow, right? And I think Terraform is the right way to trigger it. Right now, it's manually triggered by me when I log in, when I SSH into the machine.
When you say your Minecraft world, is that 3-layer, 64 million square acre thing?
Yeah, it's like the game server that.
I'm just gonna constantly run. Plan? Check.
Apply.
Well, to check. More as like a health check,
Oh, no. The only time I would use run Terraform apply is if, like he was saying, if I need to spin up a new server, right? I could point that server at like, hey, use this world, because I could spin up every world database is a different
It's more.
Save.
You're going to use Terraform to monitor the health
No.
of the world. Okay.
No.
That's what I was like. I would read.
Not really.
I mean, I can put Terraform plan on a cron, and then maybe look for differences.
Differences in what though?
So if the state changes.
Like the state of the Minecraft world?
No. The state of. I already know that. That's why I was asking. I don't know how you can do that.
And I'm open to debating this too, but like it's for the creation or the updating of the resources themselves, whereas if it's inside the OS and all that, that's more some other tool to me.
Some other tool.
Because basically this is a tool that creates resources. Well, Terraform is a tool that creates resources. Packer creates an image. Terraform creates resources. But the inside configuration is really more OS or some other tool, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Even though you could do
Mm-hmm.
Terraform.
But honestly, the only day 2 ops that I really have to deal with,
Is the restore.
server crashes,
Yeah.
spin up a new one, restore from backup,
Yeah.
right? Change configuration of the Minecraft server. Should be pretty rare. I can do that if I can get cloud config to work in this Terraform resource right here, right? Instead of poking a hole using the SSH key attribute and just pass in a whole cloud init config that says drop this file, blah, blah, blah. I could add my Minecraft configuration, which is not in my Terraform solution right now. It's in my Packer solution, right? This will probably make it a little bit more real, right? So I have a parameterized file here that I use sed in Packer to swap out the server name, the game mode, the difficulty level, all these different settings, right? right now the configuration management's in Packer. That sucks. I don't like that because I have to build a new Packer image every time I want to change one of those settings. That's what you're saying. It should happen outside of it by something else. If I could use
The base of it, right?
what's that?
I think Packer basically is the base. It gives you the binaries and all that.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
you would put your configuration in there.
Have you looked up local exec?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried that?
I know what local exec is. Yeah.
Have you done like a multi-line
Like run a local exec script on the
after division?
after provisions. Yeah, I could do that.
Where does it know about things like who's using it and all that? That comes after it's up and running? That's part of the backup database and all that?
What do you mean? Who's using it?
Like does it know the players or users or whatever is this part? I don't know Minecraft that much.
Not really. There's like an allow list and a permissions. So I don't do a whole lot with those settings, but basically like I supplant my Xbox XUID GUID in there. Like here you can see. This is my Xbox GUID, right, for my Xbox user. And it gets baked into this Packer image that says, I am the operator of this server, which means when I connect on my Xbox to this server, like I can go basically be God in the Minecraft world, right? Which helps when my 13-year-old son and his friends team up on me and murder me and steal my diamonds, I don't like that. So I can just go into God mode and like wreck their worlds. But this is an area that I want to improve is I hate the fact that I have to use Packer to do this configuration management today. And like Jeff said, I'm either going to go Ansible, but I would prefer to get like Cloud Init in Terraform working so that I could change these things kind of easy. Because the virtual machine, contents of the virtual machine are already smart enough to restore themselves. They back up and they restore themselves. That automation is running on the operating system. So when Terraform were to, update the image, run Cloud Init again, I would just need to have like restore from latest backup, to pull the world data, and then change all the settings. But I haven't figured out how to do that. But I mean, you can see here, like, what's built into Packer. I have these scripts, and these are all the utility scripts. So this is my upgrade Minecraft script, and it goes and downloads, the latest version of Minecraft, using magic. And I detect what the version is by doing a grep command on like the file that it gets. And then I check a local file, and it's a very simple operation. Like, is the version different than what's in the local file? If so, upgrade Minecraft, which involves extracting all those files, backing up the configuration files to a temp directory, unzipping all the crap and then copying them back from that temp directory. This all works, right? Another thing I need to add, I need to figure out how to set up a cron job to run this every day. I haven't figured out how to do that.
There's a file called a cron tab.
I know. So look at my script. It is pretty easy, but I can't get the cron tab set up in Packer. Where is Here it is.
Aren't these files
just a
getting
file.
into your
See this?
server?
No. So like you can, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want, I mean,
So this is the user. So this is the Minecraft server user. And I'm basically trying to set up a cron job for that user to run this script. What?
Docker kind of work like Docker. You know how Docker?
Yeah.
You'll have a command. It'll make a layer. You have
Kind of, yeah.
Does it kind of work like that?
Kind of, yeah.
So instead of trying to do that, you can just write it to the user's cron tab directly and instead of trying to do, all that command is doing is writing it to a folder in etc for that user. You just put the file there and skip that step.
Oh, I could put the file there, but I would need to know what should be in the file. Isn't this just this is just putting it in the file, right?
It's hard. It's that 0, 0 starts with this is that. It's literally just that.
And what path is that at?
Etc cron tab.
Something I could ask ChatGPT and it would tell me in a heartbeat. Okay, all right, got it.
Be careful if it doesn't work, read the docs.
I know. Trust me. Like I've had my share of like my.
It never says,
ChatGPT.
"Oh, you're an idiot." It'll always go with what you start to say it is.
Until you scold it, you're like, "No, you were wrong. That didn't work." And it's like, "I'm so sorry." Like, you're right. I'm a bad computer.
You give them another idea, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." Tell me that 5 minutes ago.
I know. Yep. So, areas for improvement: automate the cron job to upgrade the server. Otherwise, I got SSH in there. Jam my SSH key in there using Cloud Init, and improve the configuration management by using Cloud Init.
So this files directory is basically like a standard Packer directory then?
It's a convention that I use. Like, technically, when you use Packer HCL, which you should be, I think you were, yeah.
Yeah, I knew better.
Yeah. No more JSON files, please. Sorry. Then it works just like a Terraform thing, and it's like, well, you can. A lot of Packer templates, have kind of extra files that you either need to drop onto the server or whatever. So I put it in anything that I'm going to drop on the machine. I put in a files folder.
And that correlates somehow to that user. That user's home directory or someone else? Or you have to tell it?
Yeah, you have to tell it. You have to tell it. So there you go. So I'm using the file provisioner to drop the stop server to a temp directory. Then I copy that stop server script to the Minecraft user's home directory, and then I change mod it with a +X.
Oh, file provisioner doesn't have access to anything. It's external. Okay.
So
Yeah, Packer's like some bozo user that I've granted sudo temporarily.
So to your earlier point, wouldn't you be able to just create the cron tab stuff using this file provisioner? Sounds like put in the user directory from here.
Yeah. I just need to know what file that is.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's just called cron tab in the user directory, I think.
Wait. Yeah.
So you have to run and run cron tab to make it active.
But you do want you want the update happening outside.
What's that?
You want the update happen. This is inside the image. These are inside the image.
Yeah, this is being run on the.
Update needs. Yeah. Okay.
So here's where I install the upgrade script.
Yeah.
So in my Packer template, I literally take the upgrade script and add it to the server, so that if I want to manually connect to the server, run the script, it'll upgrade Minecraft.
Even easier. etc-cron.d, the user. You just put the timing and then whatever user and then the command.
So there's like so it's just like I don't need those headings. Those headings are just to explain what the hell is in the file. So looking at my script, so basically all I'd need to do is just add the user here and put it into cron.d. Okay. I'll have to try that. So what he's saying is, take this, call this MC user cron. I don't know. Should I just no extension?
Yeah, it doesn't have.
No extension?
You can put that D, I guess.
That text? That D's kind of scary. I put M.
I thought it was always called cron tab, but maybe that's the old one.
See the file that
But the new Ubuntu says
Oh, new Ubuntu, so that's more of an Ubuntu thing then.
So the source file, I can give it whatever extension I want.
yeah.
I could give it no extension. I don't know, just so I'm like, as a,
It is just a
it's more of an, it's more of, yeah, it is just a text file. So it's more of like setting expectations for the developer that's going to be working on my Packer template. Like, this is what this file's for. So if I don't have an extension, then they would kind of have to know that it's like, what the hell this thing is. So I don't know, which they probably should if they're going to be like doing this. So now,
well, you have a
now what was that file? The cron D?
Etsy cron.d.
So what I want to do is I want to take my cron, what did I call it? MC user cron.txt, and I'm going to copy it to this location. And then, ooh. Oh yeah, okay. Why is that the alignment off there? Actually, I could probably just copy it to directly to what's the path? Etsy?
Yeah, Etsy
Cron D, was it?
cron.d. Oh, this is saying cron.d.
Now, can you sudo write to cron.d, or do you have to append? Because they're like some of the.
So cron.d is a folder, so you need to put it in a file in a folder.
What should be the name of the file?
I think it's cron tab.
What is it?
Cron tab.
Just cron tab?
It's a bit. Yeah. Okay. So that should.
Okay.
You may also want to try just Etsy cron tab.
Etsy D.
Use Etsy cron tab. That's the other way to do it. So minus that cron.d part.
Oh,
Yeah.
so like that?
Exactly. So those are the two things I would try.
Those are the two locations?
So I would actually try that one first. That one.
This one?
That's what I'm used to. Is Etsy cron tab just straight up.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try it out when I get home. Thanks.
The other way you can do it, if you're feeling really squirrely, is you can set up a service in Linux and have systemd do it for you. If you're feeling you really want to get into it. But it's like a service, like it'll constantly check if that service is up. You can run different scripts. If it starts failing.
Oh, you mean like the way I set up the Minecraft service?
Exactly.
Like this thing?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I could,
Yeah, you already have this,
yeah, but this is running the Minecraft server. So there's ways to create like a cron job that would run every 24 hours using this.
That's really what this is. So it's running it, right? It's just constantly running it, waiting for. It's not ever actually exiting. It's waiting for a negative number exit, and then it'll do whatever you tell it it's going to do, right?
I see. So I would have to modify like my upgrade script to basically be aware that you're going to run in a Linux system service. So you should basically have a while true loop
Right. I think so.
and will sleep
Yeah.
for 24 hours. I kind of feel like cron is a safer path though. That sounds a little scary.
Yeah. If you want
Because if you have a bug that tries to update every minute.
Yeah, I don't want to have to deal with like air, all the things that could go wrong. That's what cron kind of does for me.
Although you could just as well accidentally have the wrong cron entry that makes it run a million times too. You know, you can make a mistake the other direction too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's peaceful for the amount of file that is downloaded from it. So.
yeah. So
Go for the job. It's not, it's just daily. But, you know, a lot of things are like those upgrades daily. You have them in Windows or whatever, too. It's running all the time. Is it time for me to upgrade it? Great.
And I think one thing that I don't do yet is I don't actually enable the service.
Yeah, I was just about.
Which I usually do in my Packer images by default. Like I don't, like if I have system services, I don't enable them like in the Packer image. Because when I spin up a virtual machine on Azure or AWS, I've got the user data and I can very easily just, because it's a tickler, you know? It's like, okay, everything, all the hard work is already done. It's just like, yeah, somebody's got to push the button, right? And I feel like I feel more comfortable having that in the actual infrastructure as code motion with Terraform, you know, as an execute, like that final step once the VM's provisioned. In Azure, we have virtual machine extension, which allows you to run a custom script at the end. So you could use user data, or you could just run a custom script. But that's how I typically do it. So, because I feel like when you're building an image like an AMI, there's a responsibility that somebody else might use this image and they don't necessarily know like what's on this thing, right? So you could make an argument that like a Minecraft server should start Minecraft when you launch the image. You could make that argument, I guess. But and maybe once I have a higher confidence level that my Minecraft like configuration is like bulletproof, I would feel more comfortable activating the service, right? But yeah. Yeah, so basically what I did was I have this Proxmox ISO. I build the baseline Ubuntu. Then, oops, you're going to laugh, probably. But I don't want to have to go through the baseline Ubuntu every time I want to run an update. So literally the baseline Ubuntu is just like installation media, paved, right? Yeah. And then I have a baseline with updates. I should probably rename them, right? But like one should just be like install, Ubuntu install, one should be like base. Because the baseline, you know, you would assume it would have updates. This Packer image, I plan on like running Packer more frequently to actually bake in like the updates of Ubuntu, such that when I want to spin up new applications, Minecraft, Prometheus, you know, fancy, you know, professional stuff, you know, then when it pulls from baseline with updates image, like it's very fast. We don't have to do git, you know, apt update, like pull all the things from, you know, Mount Olympus kind of stuff, which is slow, right? And one of the biggest things that I run into with Packer is apt gets so pissed, like when there are like conflicts. I'm trying to think if I have a script there, but a lot of times there's like these, when you run apt install, if there's like apt, it like does all sorts of like locks on local files, and if one of those locks like lingers, then bam, like your Packer build is dead in the water, and it's actually a big pain in the ass. I don't have a super strong understanding of like apt and like the internals of that, but I have a script that basically is a polling mechanism to wait for those locks to kind of be released, so that your Packer images are less likely to just crap out on themselves. Or, you know, you can bake an image with all the updates so that when you install your application, you don't have, there's the risk of like apt throwing up on you.
Is it running like multiple package installs at the same time or something in parallel?
It's more like if you do like one apt install this and then another apt install this, like one would think that apt would know to wait for that, like, but no, it's not happy.
Did you say it's one line or are you doing multiple?
Like you do multiple. I mean, if you could do, I've had it even if you do it in one line with apt blah 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 blah. I've still had it give me apt locks. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Such trouble with Fedora.
Really?
I wonder, but I don't feel like I've had that problem. But I haven't tried to automate anything other than Fedora, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'm using apt wrong. I don't know. It tends to give me some trouble.
What kind of monitoring are you thinking about for this thing?
Monitoring. Well, I haven't really been thinking about monitoring. What do you think I should do?
You got a 13-year-old yells. The neighborhood's like knocking on the front door.
Don't look. It's proactive. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Like at OSU, we use Splunk. And Splunk is actually free now.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if I have that kind of budget.
They do have a user one that's free. So I don't know if you want to spend the time setting that up. But it's fun.
Is Splunk hard to set up?
I've never set it up.
No, it's very easy.
Actually, I
The
think
hard part is interpreting all the data.
I think they
Depending
have
on what you're collecting.
They have a Docker Compose, I think, for Splunk. But I think they containerize it all. And I forget the other things, but I remember just having to do Docker Compose up, and it's free.
Just one container?
No, it was like 4. So it was a central one, it was a collector, and 2 ingesters or something like that. Yeah, that's fun. But do you do Grafana? You can do like elk stack.
Elk stack?
That's where I was headed with my project. Or Grafana instead of Grafana.
Yeah, man. My talk at Hashi Days was on Grafana. Yeah. But using Azure managed instance of Grafana. Yeah. But technically you can automate. Yeah, maybe I should set up Grafana on my home network. But Grafana is the dashboard. Like what do people use? They use Elk Stack, I guess. Like with just Elg, right? Because Prometheus
Yeah, time series, so.
is Prometheus free.
Yeah. I guess that's the MacBook for you.
Yeah.
Okay, Google.
Do you think I should set up like a Kubernetes cluster first, though? Like, because that's what I was thinking of doing with like this whole Minecraft server was kind of a temporary thing because to buy time for my product owner, so that I could go do my evil project, which was, provision Kubernetes and then spin up Minecraft in pods, right?
I'm so curious how that's going to work with pods.
Minecraft?
Yeah.
I need is a volume mount. All I need is a volume mount for the worlds.
But the current rights to a volume mount for so I have two pods
Yeah.
from the same database. How I don't know how it would react. I'm very curious to see.
You might.
You do a deployment with 2 pods to the same volume mount, and I don't know how you get on one and whatever, but I want to see what happens.
I don't think like you'll be able to do more than one replica set. Like I think it's going to be one pod,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah, I don't know what it would do because I don't think it does a checksum. Like if it writes, if pod A writes, and pod B has a checksum, and it did write, and then it goes check the database. Like, does it just like freak out? Does it just like not care?
I think it would be that you would encounter anomalies.
Yeah.
I did this. I know this because I set up something similar, basically what you're talking about, but on a grander scale. On my YouTube channel, I set up a multi-region Minecraft server. Yeah. I created a Terraform module that would provision a Minecraft server to an Azure region. And I'm like, all right, put this into a for loop, right? Spin one up in west, one up in central, one up in east. I had them all configured using something called blob views, which is a way to mount Azure blob storage as basically like a volume mount, right? And I had the Minecraft worlds stored there. And so I had a Minecraft server in US East and US West hitting a storage account in US one of them. So one of them is going to have really bad latency to the storage, right? But they're both pointing at it, and you could technically have two users connect to US East and US West. But what essentially happened was, two users would connect, and rather than it being fluid, like, hey, Bob, it would be like this. It would be like a scary movie. Like, I'd be here and I'd go like this, and you'd watch me, and then a second later, I'd be like over here, and then a second later, I'm like over here, and you're like, oh, it's the ring lady. I don't know what's going on, and then I'd mine it. I'd punch a tree, and it would be gone, and then it would be back. So yeah, it gets really confused.
I bet it caches it locally too.
So that's what I'm saying. Minecraft does not scale well. It is vertically scalable. That it is not a horizontally.
Maybe it has to do with the storage type that you're using. What if you have more?
So Minecraft has a proprietary database that stores.
On a machine or something like that.
Yeah.
That was the other question.
It stores all of its data. If you've ever goofed around with DOS-based games or something like that and looked inside the directories, they used to have these DAT files.
They were like linear buffers.
Yes. That's exactly what Minecraft's database looks like to me. It's you go into the worlds directory, it's a bunch of DAT files. And it's all you open that up in a text editor, you pick a small one, because they're like chunks. They're I don't know how big of chunks, but it's 128 megs or something like that. These files grow. That's what I'm saying. These files grow, and because as you walk around in the world, right, you're changing things. It has to save all those things with all the coordinates. And so as you walk around, as you change the world, the more you change the world, the bigger those DAT files get, right?
That's the best way to explain eventual consistency.
Event.
That term comes up in databases a lot. Eventual consistency, because you're moving in the game faster than the infrastructure at that point.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. Minecraft does not handle eventual consistency very well.
You'd have to have more than one data source. I think you'd have to have
Well, I'm thinking these DAT files are basically.
If they're in more than one place, and then they're replicating.
Yeah.
Single
That's-
user
yeah.
eventual consistency.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better way.
Yeah.
Actually, so in my early days of programming, one of the first applications that were sort of common data in a file like that, and I remember to this day that it was 3352 bytes. So if that file ever became not divisible by 3352, then it had to be truncated to the point where the records were good. So it's very much technique of the early 90s and before, much before.
It's funny, tomorrow night we have the local database user group coming in. I'll bring that question up to them, see what they think about that.
Yeah, ask them what kind of database Minecraft uses.
I mean, it sounds like it doesn't have a database. It sounds like it's file-based for some reason.
Well, databases come in many flora and fauna, man. So.
I mean, honestly, if you were going to, I got to think Minecraft, I'm just on the pulpit now, but I got to think Minecraft was born and made some bad decisions. We call that technical debt, but it still kind of works.
There was one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One guy in Sweden.
Right. And these are what tech lore is made of. I think if this one guy was going to do it again, he would do it different with the tools today. That's why Southwest doesn't assign seats, because the system doesn't know how to do that. That's why they
Oh, I
don't.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that. That's really
Seriously.
Interesting.
I think it's funny.
Wasn't the MVP.
Go backwards in the supply chain and figure out how it works.
Yeah, Minecraft was not designed to be like massively multiplayer like it has become, right?
It's literally the only Java game I know.
The only Java game.
Yeah, the only game
Oh.
program in Java.
Oh, yeah. The original version. Bedrock is the new version is not Java. They made it. I don't know what it's written in. I think it might be written in. What does Microsoft use for cross-platform games? XNA or I don't know. But the Java client runs on Mac. Does not run on Xbox. Does not run on Switch. Does not run on iPhone. So if I spin up a Java server, then the only people that can connect to it are Windows and PC, which is not good for my product owner.
I've never tried Minecraft with a controller.
Oh, really?
My son plays it on a Switch. Now I'm questioning how much optimized it is to run it on a Switch.
Switch. So I know this because my son like laments this all the time, and like he says that there are different advantages when you play Minecraft on different platforms, different client platforms, hardware platforms. So, and the pecking order is this: PC. You have the most accuracy. Apparently, you have a longer click radius, right? Like reach, right?
Yeah, like a multi geographic coordinated gesture.
Yeah, like when you punch something.
Yeah.
Apparently, when you punch something on PC, like you can punch it 6 blocks away, whereas like on Xbox, it's like 4 blocks away. So like he's always like pissed. Yeah, he's always like pissed off that like these they call them hackers. I think that really funny. It's like, oh, he's hacking. I'm like, do you know what that word means? I don't know if you're using that word right. But a hacker these days is somebody that can just PvP, player versus player, like battle with swords. And they do things that shouldn't be possible in the game world. That's a hacker, right? So he's constantly complaining about that. And usually hacking is alleged when there's some asymmetric difference between the hardware platforms that the players are using, right? And one has an advantage over the other, but the advantage is transparent because you don't know if they're using a Switch or an iPhone in game. It's just like that's them.
Okay, can you actually play it on iPhone?
You can. Yeah. My son has some friends, and they come over, and they get on their iPhone. One's on an iPhone, one's on an iPad, and they're like this. I'm like, how do you even do that? Like, you got to tap the screen. You got to. I'm like, what? It's crazy. But I'm sure people like PC users, probably look at me with a Xbox controller, and they're like, what the heck are you doing? Like, how can you have any sort of control without a mouse? But yeah. So my next step, okay, we're getting to closeout time. My goal, you can see I have a Terraform folder called infra, and I have a Terraform folder called Minecraft. Yeah. So there is a provider for Minecraft, which allows you to automate the Minecraft world, right? So, yeah, dude, Jeff is, that's beautiful. Jeff's just like, what? I've entered Bizarro world.
Everywhere? Like,
Yeah, look. So,
Now this might be the way I get my son to technology.
funny.
so think about this, like, this is how so there's only one resource, okay? This provider is no longer under development. Guess who's gonna start developing it?
Yeah.
Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me, okay? Crickets. The problem is that this thing only works with the Java version of the server because the Bedrock hasn't implemented a feature that the Java version has called RCON, or Remote Connect something, remote administration, basically. And like I've been spelunking through the Golang code of this, and I can see it's making an RCON connection, and so I've gone and tried to get the RCON like actual CLI, because you can get a CLI to do RCON, just like you can get an AWS CLI or an Azure CLI and monkey around in Azure, right, or AWS. It's just like, how are you going to hit that control plane, right? The RCON is the control plane for Minecraft. There's a CLI that you can use a CLI command to manually type it. There's a Terraform provider that hits that control plane. So unfortunately, Bedrock doesn't support RCON yet.
Does Bedrock have like APIs that you can use?
It does, and that's what. So there's this thing called the plugin framework, but the problem with that is, I may need to write a new Terraform provider because it's not going to be compatible with RCON. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers that whoever's working on Bedrock, I've debated whether I should go look them up in the system, like in the address book, and be like, hey, could you prioritize RCON? I have no power here. But
Ask what's going on with it.
yeah.
That's a cleaner route.
Yeah.
Why do you want to know? There you go.
Is it open source or not open source?
Bedrock, not open source. Yeah.
I don't think that they would deprioritize whatever it's called, RCON, in favor for APIs. That's kind of industry, I would think. Where else have you seen RCON? I've never heard of it.
It's actually in a lot of different games.
Really?
Yeah. RCON, Minecraft. I should probably go to GitHub. Let me look up RCON.
It sounds like it was its own sort of proprietary.
So there's so many people. If I pick one of these, I can't remember which, but there you go. Look at this. Look at all these games that support RCON. Yeah, I don't know what they are, but like V Rising.
How just came out this year?
I don't know. 7 Ways to Die. I've heard of that. Counter-Strike. Wow, that's digging deep. Rust. Is that a game? I thought that.
It's basically like real world Minecraft.
Oh, okay. V Rising. Is that like some zombie game? I don't know. But so it's like it's a thing, However, I think like the cynics, and anytime Microsoft is involved, there's always like cynics, and they're like, oh, Microsoft is not going to do RCON because they want people to spend money in the Minecraft marketplace. Are they wrong? Probably not. I hope we eventually put RCON in there, but there does seem like there are a couple other threads I'm chasing. Like there's Bedrock appears to, like you said, there's a much more modern way. So Bedrock has open sourced its network protocol, which it's on GitHub, but it is very terse. So it's in the parking lot. It would be a lot of fun. I made to get my jollies with terraforming Minecraft, I might have to just automate a Java edition Minecraft server, and just because it supports RCON. Because I don't know if I have enough time to build a whole new Terraform provider for using these very low-level network APIs that are in Bedrock. I don't know. But yeah, the idea was, using this resource, I could create Terraform modules that would literally poop out a house at any coordinate. I could poop out a castle. I could poop out a pyramid of gold blocks or diamond blocks. Like all it would just be a little bit of math, right? And using the iterators in Terraform to be like, draw a line this way, draw a line that way, draw a line this way. You probably do a lot of stuff. So that was what I was trying to get to, and almost got there until I ran into the Archon thing and the fact that my product owner, needs Switch and Xbox support. So that's a bummer. But yeah, so that's my adventure with Proxmox and Minecraft, and thanks to Chris for showing me the way last time, because it's been a lot of fun. I was really scared. I had to completely eradicate my RAID 5 that I used to have. It's embarrassing, the version of Windows Windows Server that I was running on it. Probably Windows 2008, maybe. I don't know. It's 20. It had to be 2016. Okay, had to be 2016. But yeah, so just Proxmox run on bare metal, and they're like the server has like four. It has 4 NICs in it. So when I first set up Proxmox, thankfully I have a very janky keyboard monitor set up on my rack, and because I had to like actually go physical access the Proxmox because like none of the NICs were recognized, so I had to go modify the network configuration setting to enable and configure DHCP or something on the NICs, which was a big pain in the ass.
That must just because it's older, though, probably. You said it was an older server?
It's an older server, yeah. It could have been, air between keyboard and chair kind of thing when I was setting it up. I don't know. Yeah. So, but once Proxmox got network activity, it was pretty easy. And yeah, I have like these secret bash scripts that I set up called .debug.sh, which I run, which has all my secret Terraform stuff in it that have the secrets to authenticate, and I git ignore that so it never gets checked into source control. So I can't show you that stuff, but like it was pretty simple. Like, do you remember, Chris? Like, there's some password or key that like you use.
I did environment variables.
Yeah.
Which is probably what your debug is doing.
That's what my debug did. I just set up environment variables, and then they get sucked into the provider and you don't even have to put it in the config. If you set the right environment variable, like the Proxmox provider will be like, oh, let me go look in this environment variable for that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to rolling my own Kubernetes cluster. Probably publish that to YouTube, like Kubernetes the hard way,
Kubernetes I survived.
on Proxmox, using Proxmox and Packer. I feel like at least now that I have Proxmox and Packer, right, it won't be that stressful like setting up Kubernetes, because it's like I can just like blow all that stuff away and just spin up 3 nodes again. Like doing Kubernetes the hard way is bad because like all of the swivel chair, right? It's like, okay, I'm on node 1. Okay, I'm on node 2. Okay, I'm on node 3. What command did I just run on node 2? What command did I run on node? I've done it before. It sucks, right? But I think with like if I do it with Packer, like it should be less.
No, that sounds
sucky.
like the way smarter way to do. I mean, I heard the phrase click ops. What you just described as kube cuddle ops. You're just in this like loop of loops. Just this node, this command again.
Yeah.
That sounds like the way to do it.
Yep.
Are you doing Kelsey Hightowers? Troops of Archive?
No, I
Book, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Or
Git,
what
Git,
page something?
yeah. It's just a bunch of readmes.
oh, okay.
But he just updated it 7 months ago. That's
Does,
what I did.
does he work at Microsoft or did he leave? Oh, he's a
Go independent.
Yeah,
He's no longer. I don't know what he does now.
he
But
was a distribution engineer left.
independently well. He's in private finance. No, I'm sorry, private equity. That's code for I've got fuckloads of money. I'm in private equity. Yeah.
Because, oh, yeah, he does a lot of sponsored content. He still does his own thing.
Yeah.
Him and, who's the other, Nana?
Nana, Tech World with Nana.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. She's a big YouTuber. I don't know if she's got Kelsey money though.
No, but enough to do it on her own.
Oh yeah. Well. Anyways, that's it.